Guys, Robot1 here, coming at you with my Endymion Magician list. I felt like I wanted to show you guys my Endymion list because basically Endymion just came out for us in the European area of the TCG. America got it early. Whatever, and I wanted to show you guys the build that I personally prefer the best out of all the Endymion lists. I've tried many different Endymion builds. I've tried the Dragon variant, which I really didn't like with the Amorphages and everything. I felt like it was too bricky, I felt like it didn't work very well, and I felt like it really could only go first. I tried the Pure variant with the Mythical Beasts. It was alright, but I felt like the boards it makes were very mediocre, and I've tried this variant as well, plus some other variants which weren't very good, but this is the variant that I came up with that I personally feel like is the best because it can go, it can go so far going second, being able to just OTK your opponent with the greatest of ease. It is able to make boards of up to 7 negates. That's the most negates I've been able to acquire on the board at one time in general, and it's just able to do a ton of other things outside of that as well, which is just really, really good. So this is the build that I personally like the best. If you're wondering when I made those 7 like really big negate boards, look back up my streams, look back up the Endymion videos that I made. Like, honestly, this deck does have a lot of ability to be able to make these negate boards. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the list so I can show you guys what my thoughts and opinions on the deck are and what ratios I play. So first of all, we got Endymion, the Mighty Master of Magic. Prefer him when he was Sorcerer Supreme. This is basically one of your more important cards in the deck. He is a negate for spell and trap cards, and if he's got a spell counter on him, he can't be destroyed or targeted by effects, and while he has a spell counter on him, if he's destroyed, he gets to add a spell card from your deck to your hand, a normal spell card. So this is basically a negate, a search, protecting from towers, and also its pendulum effect, which is also insane as well, where you get to remove 6 spell counters on the board, special summon him from the scale, and just nuke cards until there's up to the number of cards you can put spell counters on. And this card is just insane. Honestly, this is the card with the longest text in the game. It's the most insane. It is part of your 7 negate board, and he is very, very important to the board as well. I run 2 mainly because he is a scale 8, so he's never conflicting with scales. And I don't want to banish both of the. I don't want to play one, banish one of Desires, then not have the other one. So I felt like playing 2 was the best variant. Plus, there are times when I do really want the second in the deck, just because I can put 2 of these on the board and then just have more spell and trap negates, because his effect is not a hard punch per turn negate effect, unlike stuff like Vortex and things. So, to the Master of Magic, he is very good, and he is a great card in general, just being able to negate. 3, Servant of Endymion. She is one of the most important cards in the deck as well, because mainly because her pendulum effect, her monster effect isn't very relevant, but her pendulum effect is you can remove 3 spell counters from this card, or the field spell if the field spell is on board and has 3 spell counters. And special summon this card from your Pendulum Zone, and 1 monster you can place spell counters on from your deck with 1,000 or more attack points. So she is an instant Electromite if you're able to activate 3 spell cards. She can summon out the Master of Magic, and she's just in general a free tutor and a low scale in the deck. So felt like she is a guaranteed free of in the build, and you definitely need her in the deck. Next, for the Mythical Beast engine, I play 3 Master Cerberus because it searches the 2 Jackal King in my deck. I felt like 3-2 was the correct ratio on the Mythical Beasts, because the Mythical Beasts search out this summons this from the extra deck. And basically this is an instant Electromite as well in cases where you want to be able to see this as soon as possible, but seeing this on its own is fine because you can just pendulum itself out as well. But majority of the time you do want to see this in your opening hand to be able to pop it off to search your Mythical Beast Jackal King, to then be able to just tutor out scales. Plus, if you're able to activate multiple spell cards, you can put up to like 6 spell counters on this card. And if you open up this, you can special summon this from your hand, so from your scale. So another way to get to an instant Electromite is one in that factor as well. Plus, this is another one of your negates that you can summon off the Little Servant of Endymion right here, which is the monster negate out of the 2. So if you're playing against Danger, you want to summon this. If you're going against Altergeist or Sky Striker, you're going to be wanting to summon your Master of Magic that's right here. So Yeah, that's the mythical beast ratio. For just more race engines to be able to summon out Electromite, we play triple chronograph sorcerer and a time gazer magician. Obviously, it's spellcasters. You want to be able to activate as many spell counters as possible as well to basically boost your little servant of Endymion. This is just another way to get another spell counter on this card, so it's necessary in the deck as well. Next, we play triple Dark Worm and 1 Zero Gate. I felt like this ratio was just the best ratio in general, because being able to just be able to send Dark Worm to the graveyard with something like Dragon Shrine, Foolish Burial, and then just summon it to the board, or even normal summon it, but after using Master Cerberus or Chronograph, to then be able to search a 0 scale that you can just pop off with Electromite, is actually really powerful, and it gives you free resources. So I felt like this was one of the better engines in the deck. And it also gives you more spell cards to be able to do on your Servant of Endymion. And sorry for the cough, I still got my bad cough, I can't help it. But triple Dark Worm and 1 Zero Gate. I felt like you didn't need to play the second Zero Gate in this build, plus there is very hard to find the space for extra cards in this deck. So I felt like 1 Zero Gate was the right call in this instance. For the Magician engine, though, we're playing triple Harmonizing Magician, just the best Pendulum Magician in general, being able to summon out any Magician from the deck, plus being a high scale. 2 Purple Poison, because it is the one that outs like Floodgates, it can kill anything, plus boosting stuff like your Jackal King or your Master of Magic is just really good in general. 1 Black Fang Magician, because half attack, summon Dark Spellcaster from grave, pretty good, plus it is one of the ones you really do need in this deck. I want to buff it up to 2, but it's really hard to find space, and 1 is the best number in the deck for this card right now, because it's so hard to make space. And then 1 Jiangshi Magician, because he's a level 7 that you summon off from Harmonizing Magician to then go into your Vortex plays and all things along like that. That's all the Pendulum cards. Obviously, you need to play all of these Pendulum cards. Like the Magician engine, like you could easily cut the Magician engine if you don't like the Magicians. But I feel like the Magician engine is just so powerful that if you're not playing it, you're not going to be able to make as good boards as other decks. So I felt like this was the best ratio for the Pendulum lineup. But for just other monsters that we play that are hand traps, we play triple Ash Blossom. It's the only other hand trap we play in the deck, because honestly, you don't need to play any other hand traps in this deck, because anything else would pretty much brick the deck. Like, honestly, it's really hard for this deck it's really hard when this deck can't make Electromite or can't be able to get to its main combo. So the only reason we're playing Ash Blossom in this build is because of those times when you go second and you kind of just get killed because you're going second by like a Nightmare Mermaid summoning out like a Nightmare, or Idly now that you can summon that. It really is imperative that you have a way to just interact with your opponent on your opponent's turn. So I felt like Ash Blossom was just a card that you needed to play at 1. And it really does come up and really does help, especially now in the format that we're in, where literally 1 Ash Blossom can just stop your opponent from playing the game. Like, literally, you Ash Blossom a Gazelle, they don't get their trap card, so they can't play the game from there. You Ash Blossom a Nightmare Mermaid, they have really a real hard time trying to play without that Nightmare Mermaid. So I felt like this being just such a good card in general, it was really just worth playing. Plus, if you also Ash the Engage after the Kagari, then they're going to have problems after that as well. But that's all the monsters. Like, monster rate lineup, I feel like is perfect. I have no problems with it in general, and it's worked perfectly for me so far, and it's just really good and all. So, yeah, that's the monster lineup. For spell lineup, though, we play 3 Spell Power Mastery. You need to play 3 of this. It searches any of your Endymion cards. It will search your Servant. It will search your Endymion Master of Magic. And also it puts extra spell counters on cards that can have spell counters on it. So it's just additional ways to get additional spellcasters. So it's an add card, and it's a way to get extra spell counters. So yeah, 3 of this, very important. Next, 2 Pendulum Call. I don't feel like you need to play more than 2 in this build with the amount of magicians we're running. So I felt like 2 was the right number in this build, in this case. I haven't seen any problems with it so far, so I feel like this is the correct ratio. You could put a Duelist Alliance in just to be able to get that additional spell counter. But I felt like this was the right ratio. 2 Pot of Desires, just more consistency, being able to banish extra cards is always nice to be able to just get 2 cards that you could possibly use to kill your opponent. Pretty simple in that account. 2 Dragon Shrine and 1 Foolish Burial, this is for the Dark Worm engine, no need to further explain. Triple Called by the Grave. This is a Pendulum decks are very combo heavy right now, so I felt like playing 3 Called by the Grave was very important in this list because if you get Ogred, and Ogre is a very relevant hand trap right now, on your Electromite, then you just have such a downhill battle. So I felt like playing 3 Called by the Grave, just because of that Ghost Ogre, is just so relevant. Plus, this can also put a counter on your Servant to be able to allow you to summon more magicians from your deck, more negates from your deck. So yeah, it helps in that category as well. And the last spell in the deck, 1 Magical Citadel of Endymion. This card is very important at times because if you don't open a way to serve, if you open like this and no servant or any way to be able to gain additional counters on said servant, then getting the Magical Citadel is actually very, very important because you can, majority of the time, put the servant in the extra deck, then just kill the servant, then you can activate this, do your whole combo, get to 3 counters on this, then just add your servant from the extra deck, and then be able to remove the 3 counters from this field spell in general. So I felt like playing 1 field spell was just really important at times, so I put it to 1. I have not had a problem with it at 1 whatsoever, and it's definitely a 1 of in the deck that is really, really needed. I would not bump this up to more than 2 though, because this is a brick outside of every other situation, so yeah, really don't need to play more than 2 of that card. That's the main deck though. I feel the spell lineup is perfect. I feel the monster lineup is perfect. It is a 42 card main deck though. But I don't really feel like that is a problem because we play Pot of Desires, which I've already felt if you are playing Desires, you should probably play 42 to 43 cards, just because the banish cost is always somewhat steep. So yeah, I really have no issues with this deck, with the main deck. It's perfect the way it is in my opinion, and I feel like it is the best it could possibly be. But for the extra deck you should be playing, in my personal opinion, 1 Beat Cop from the Underworld. You only play this card because it is a generic Link 2 with an effect, so it helps you go into cards like Boral's Sword and any monsters, Link monsters that really need high levels. Plus it's got 2 down pointing arrows, so it really can't come up where you just summon this and just use it for Link fodder, or just go even further from there. 1 Daybreaker, the Shining Magical Warrior. He's an optional choice, to be honest. He's just something I felt like can come up, where you just make him, you pendulum summon 2 into his scales, gains the additional spell counter, remove 2 spell counters, then just kill a card on the board. It can come up, so I felt like it could be really useful, and I haven't regretted it yet, so it's not bad. Obviously 1 Electromite. Wish we could play more of this card. Just definitely important in this deck. You should always be making it turn 1. 1 Decode. He is part of the 7 negate board, where 2 of the negates are target negates, but then the rest are just like monster and spell and trap negates. So he is important as well. He's just the generic Link 3 that just gives you those additional monsters and negates. So yeah. 1 Boral's Sword. OTK potential. Out of the world. A new card, Mech Knight Crusadia Avramax. I was testing this online, and honestly, this card is just insane. This card, just having the ability to attack a special summon monster, gain all the attack of that monster, and just being able to just kill an opponent is insane, because this card is almost guaranteed to deal 3k damage each time it is on board, just like Boral's Sword. But the good thing about this is, it needs 2+ special summon monsters from the extra deck. So you could summon multiple Pendulum monsters from the extra deck, or just make say Beat Corp, summon 2 monsters into its extra monster zones, or even Daybreak Magician. Daybreaker the Shining Magical Warrior, then just use those 2 monsters you summon to the extra deck. Make this, after killing something obviously with your Daybreak or using Beat Cop, then attack a special summon monster. They take 3k. This thing can't be targeted. They have to attack this as well, and its effect is once per battle. And and also, when it leaves the board, by opponent's card, it shuffles 1 card on your opponent's board into the deck, so it's just a ton of free advantage in general. It's generic as hell in Pendulum Magicians as well, and it's just the fact that being able to just summon this, attack for 3k, your opponent can only attack this and none of your negates, and you're just sitting there like, you can't target me, you have to attack it, and every time you attack it, I'm going to gain the attack points if your monster's special summoned. It's a really good card in that basis, and it's just really good in general because of that. And if they do manage to get rid of it, you just get rid of a card on their board. So just a really insane card in my personal opinion, and it really does help in this deck. And obviously you can change it out for something like Borreloid, but I just prefer this card in general. I feel like this card is very good, it can't be targeted, and it's just a great card because of that. So yeah. For Xyz monsters though, 1 Abyss Dweller, Orcust, BA, anything that uses the graveyard, nah, I don't want to deal with it. Babuska for Solomon Grey, I don't want to deal with it. Tornado Dragon, because there are times when you just need to out that back row. Supreme King Dragon Dark Rebellion, it's an OTK piece that you just attack, done. Absolute Dragon for Vortex, FA Dawn Dragster for 1 of our negates. Supreme King Dragon Clearwing, it is a Raigeki on legs, so why wouldn't you play it? 1 Boral Savage, 1 of our negates, and 1 Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon, just because it is a negate. So that is the deck list. I feel like, honestly guys, out of testing, out of everything I've done with this deck, I've just seen what I'm actually capable of doing with the deck. I feel like this is the build for me, and maybe you guys as well. I would honestly suggest you test it out, try it out, give it your best go, because I honestly think this is a very good variant of Endymion Magicians, and it just works very well for me in general. So if you guys want to try this out, if you guys want to play this for yourself, I definitely suggest you do it. It's a great list for Endymion, and I have had no problems with it whatsoever to date. So guys, this is my list. Tell me your thoughts of it in the comment section below. Tell me if you tried it. Tell me if you think it's good. Tell me if you think it's garbage. Tell me if you think it's the worst build you've ever seen. I want to hear all your thoughts and opinions. Sorry guys, really can't help it coughing. But tell me all your thoughts in the comments section below about it. If you liked the deck profile, want to see more deck profiles from my channel, don't forget to press the subscribe button. And the like button to show that you want to see more content, and to get it in your subscription box. And if you want to be notified of any future YouTube videos, don't forget to press the notification button to be notified of any future YouTube videos and streams that I do at 8 p.m. UK time on Thursday afternoons. But guys, this is my Endymion deck profile. I love Pendulum Magicians and will continue playing them until the end of time. No matter what, Pendulum will always be my favorite mechanic. And guys, that's just the end. Thank you so much for watching. Robot1 signing out. Such a good card. Later, guys.